Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Nehls.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Kiley, thank you for your questions. You think about California. Well, it's California. You figured that. You know, as an old sheriff in Fort Bend County, Texas, we love the great state of Texas. You come into the great state of Texas, you start waving a gun around and threatening our citizens, or you break into a home in the state of Texas, you're leaving in a bag. You will leave in a bag. And as a sheriff, many did, breaking into people's homes, their castles, threatening, scaring people. That's California for you, but I tell you, not in the great state of Texas, we won't allow it. First, I want to ask about the effect of left-wing DAs charging people with crimes for engaging in obvious self-defense or defense of others. Mr. Daniel Penny, his name comes to mind as a recent example. Last year, Mr. Penny restrained Jordan Neely on the New York City subway after Neely continued to threaten women and children on the train, which unfortunately resulted in his death. I'm sure that Mr. Penny didn't want to have to take the man's life. Nobody wants to do that. Although this was an obvious case of self-defense of others, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg charged Penny with manslaughter, likely due to public pressure from the left-wing radicals who felt Mr. Neely should have been allowed to threaten women and children with impunity. And even though the jury came to an obvious outcome of a full acquittal, didn't take long, a full acquittal, the damage to Mr. Penny had already been done. He had been through an 18-month ordeal in which his name and reputation, they drug it through the mud. So the government, the media's message to New Yorkers was clear: dare to protect your fellow citizens, and we will destroy your life. You know, the old Good Samaritan. Do you have Good Samaritans out there anymore? You may not have them anymore. Why would anybody do it when you have nut jobs like Alvin Bragg and others that want to go after and make the individual that wants to help other people, he's all of a sudden the suspect? Mr. McDermott, do these kinds of political prosecutions deter people from coming to the defense of others? And how does that put at risk vulnerable populations like women and children and the elderly? In other words, how important is it? How important is it for us to have a society where people feel empowered to come to the defense of the vulnerable, Mr. McDermott?
Obviously, the question answers itself. It's extremely important. We have a number of different problems. First off, many people recognize the right to defend themselves, and very often they disregard the right to defend others, as happened in that particular case. There are certain uniform, I would say, rules in this space. There are certain things that you see repeating themselves very often. For example, my clients that are being charged with very serious charges, the majority of these clients, the vast majority of these clients, close to all of them, have no criminal backgrounds. Yet the victims that are being the complaining witnesses in these cases do have backgrounds. They have violent backgrounds. I have a client right now that's in custody that will not release from custody because it's been determined that she's a danger to society. She's a grandmother. She's protecting herself. She's protecting her daughter. She's protecting her 75-year-old mother from two grown men that were beating on them, and she's being charged. So this is happening just far too often.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McDermott. I got 1 question, minute left. Talk about the Second Amendment, uniformity in the Second Amendment. Based on the current laws of the states of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, for example, a Pennsylvania resident could receive an 18-month prison sentence and a $10,000 fine simply for possessing a knife in New Jersey that he is legally allowed to have in Pennsylvania. So, Mr. Ritter, how do you think that is in the spirit of the Second Amendment? How does the lack of uniformity among states, even in what kind of knife one can carry, degrade the right to self-defense?
So the issue is, under Bruin, there really is no defense for creating a ban on a particular kind of knife, because all of these knives are common. All of these knives are, quite frankly, less dangerous than a firearm. The purpose of my bill is to ensure that if someone from your great state of Texas is going to the great state of New Hampshire and has to pass through New Jersey, that they can do so without risk of being in prison for simply carrying a knife that's legal at both the start and the finish of their journey, as long as they lock it up. This is about protecting your constituents.
Thank you, Mr. With that, I yield back.
Thank you. The gentleman's time's expired.